And sometimes I get the feeling that people around here actually don't think the American people are watching this screaming match, are watching the disagreements, are watching the political games, but they are. They know exactly what's going on here. And they understand the seriousness of these issues because they're living through that economy I showed you earlier. That's what they're worrying about. They're making less today than they were 10 years ago. They're making the same amount that they were making 20 years ago. And they can't afford to send their kid to college. They can't afford their health care. And they'd like us to help straighten that out. But at a minimum, they'd like us to prevent matters from getting worse. They'd like to see us work together. Some people up here think that Congress has always been unpopular, that it's just as an institution an unpopular place. Not so. Look at this, Mr. President. Here's Congress's approval rating today, 9%. 9%. That's a pretty catastrophic fall off in the last 10 years, and I would argue that it has an awful lot to do with our inability to address problems the way people in their local communities are doing it. There is not a mayor in Colorado that would threaten the credit rating of their community for politics. Not one. Not a Republican mayor, not a Democratic mayor, not a Tea Party mayor. Not one would imagine doing it for a second, because people in our communities would know that all that would do would be to drive up our interest rates, make us spend more money on interest and less on infrastructure, more on interest and less on education, more on interest and less on the health and welfare of our citizens. We know that at the local level, but somehow here we get to color outside the lines. And we're now at 9%. We're almost at the margin of error for zero. We did some research, Mr. President, to find out what else is at 9%. And we couldn't find virtually anything in public polls taken all across this country. My goodness, the Internal Revenue Service has a 40% approval rating compared to our 9%. BP had a 16% approval rating at the height of the oil spill. And we're at 9%. There's an actress who's at 15%. More people support the United States becoming communist, I don't, for the record, at 11%, than approve of the job that we're doing. I guess we can take some comfort that Fidel Castro is at 5%.